Game developers nowadays are very sensitive about their games, and I think none more so than indie artists, where they have a kind of special connection to the games they develop, and when they see an artist change their overall perception of what the game should be, they get mad. And that's what we're seeing with an indie game called Mouthwashing, a game I never really heard about until a few days ago when Gold had a video about it. And I think for everyone that didn't know about the game, it was just a small indie game, a story-based game where people would say you're just walking around and having conversations with people. But for the most part, it looks like a quality game that I would have enjoyed playing in the past if it came out on PS2 or something like that. It looks interesting. It looks well worth the actual entry of playing this game. It's a horror game. And for what it's worth, I think the person that did develop this game, that did the nuts and bolts with the coding, did something amazing, I would have to say. It's a small indie title that is garnering a lot of attention, and this controversy around the reaction of the developer is adding to that attention. And I think could be seen as a positive or a negative. But when a developer comes out and lashes out against the fans, saying they feel sick to their stomach that these anti-progressive, politically aligned fans are now watching their game and making comments about it, that is taking it a step too far. But of course, other people are saying this is justified because what this artist is complaining about is the alteration of their game. And I think this is the subtle things that we've been seeing in the industry for the past few years, where modding has been seen as an attack on the game developers themselves rather than a tribute to them. And this is not even a mod. This is simply an artist looking at one of the female characters in the game and drawing them to their desire. And this is something we've seen all throughout the gaming industry, where artists take these individual characters and have their own interpretations of them. And this is what we're seeing with Mouthwashing, with the particular female character Anya here, who's become a fan favorite online for a lot of these always online fan bases for these type of indie games. And this game is a cult favorite right now and has a strong toxic fan base behind it. So when an indie artist took one of their favorite characters and designed them in such a way that is the antithesis of their feeling of what this type of character should be, the fan hatred exploded over it. And this is coming from an artist that just looked at the original copy of the character and designed it their own way. And they generously added bigger chest sizes to this character. And of course, the fan base that saw this, they attacked it because they saw this as almost sacrilege to their goth queen LGBTQ icon. And I think that's the situation we're seeing right here. This is the most egregious one, this picture right here. I'm going to have to censor it. But this is the picture that actually made people rage over this depiction. But we see this depiction all over anime titles and every video game character that has been drawn by an artist. So to see this vitriolic reaction to this artist, where the artist had to be pushed into a corner where they had to apologize for what they created, saying, "I apologize for making everyone feel uncomfortable." I was listening to a live video of this game while I was drawing, and the moment I saw Anya, I thought she was cute, so I drew her. I haven't watched everything thoroughly, so I don't know much about this character. Sorry, everyone. And I think that's the thing that we're seeing. This toxic fan base just exploded. They attacked him. I think they're doxing him. I think they were hacking him. They're doing so much things to get in this way of this person's life, so I can't blame them for backing away because they didn't know what was going on with this toxic fan base culture. And I think that's the result we're seeing right now, where fans are going after this creator, harassing them over the works that they just did offhand on the side. But it drives into what internet culture has become nowadays, where it is a part and parcel to have these small groups of massively toxic fan bases everywhere all over the internet, ready to attack and dismantle anyone that is not in line with their own ideology of what a character is supposed to be. And I think that is just the fan reaction, and I don't necessarily blame the fans for that, because this is just someone just came in, waltzed in, knew nothing about the culture of this game. So I think the fans' response, maybe they went too far with the harassment. Don't hack this guy. Don't try to get him fired from his job or anything like that. But I understand people saying, you don't know, that's not the character. Oh, well, and I think I understand that side of it. What I don't understand is developer coming out and saying, "I hate the people that are now realizing our game exists," which is odd because you want to sell a game to be profitable. But nowadays, the developers don't care about selling a game. They care about the progressive ideals being expressed, even though it's to a small group of people, and even though it may bankrupt themselves and their livelihood. And I think that is the warped mindset we have that invaded the video gaming industry these past few years, where you have a developer coming out in disgust of the fan base that came from Gold, talking about this content. And this is the reaction that we're seeing right now, where the developer for this game, Martin, who isn't really the person that was doing the coding and the construction of the entire game itself, this person is kind of tangential developer. They did the audio and music. They didn't really do everything else around the game. So I think that the main core dev probably has no problem with anyone talking about their game because they're getting the majority of the money from this. So I think this person was just paid out for their services. So I wouldn't say they're like a core developer. And I think this is the response we're getting. I think a lot of people think it's the core developer of the game. And I think, no, it's not them. They probably just hired this guy to do the audio because it's an indie game. They're just looking for people online. And I think this is one of the people they found. And his reaction is vitriolic and angsty and angry about the fan bases finding out about this game because he hates the anti-progressive mod here where he says they are anti-gay, anti-me as a dev. I've seen that dance many times before. I do not want him playing it regardless of exposure because it's making me feel like absolutely ish. And he goes on attacking Osmond Gold for realizing this game exists. They attack Grums, Mark Prun of Diablo, who would even know about this game. They're just attacking everyone, and you can tell these people actually listen to the content from the people that are against their ideology and their overall progressive push within the industry. And I think that's the situation we're seeing right now. The people that are in the development space are realizing their days are numbered. With all the games coming out this past year alone in 2024, we had numerous failures like Concord, Flintlock, Kill the Justice League, Dustborn, Star Wars Outlaws, so much other titles coming out next year with Assassin's Creed Shadows. We have games this year, Dragon Age, Veilguard, and of course Indiana Jones, The Great Circle, who has their own devs talking about the modern audience while wearing rainbow shirts. This is the game development industry today that is massively failing on all cylinders. And you have a person that is scared about losing their job because the people that have led this charge of not playing any of those games that are not trying to actually appease the game and player base and the mass majority of gamers out there. And I think with this game, Mouthwashing, it just looks like a typical indie game. Might be interesting, might not be interesting. It doesn't look like it's pushing any progressive values. And I think the people that feel offended by people that just don't agree with them playing a game and enjoying it and just be interested in the game is kind of the problem of the industry, where we have hateful game developers that hate the game players and don't want those game players playing their games when they make a good game, because Mouthwashing looks like it's an interesting game. So he's person saying he actively doesn't want people to play it, and I think it's absurd to have that mindset. Of course, we haven't heard the main developer for this game come out and say he feels that way, and I think smartly so. He hasn't said anything. This is just the composer and audio designer that's saying this, so it's still a dev, but not the main core dev and owner of this indie game. And I think that's the sad thing about this, where we have people that actively hate the gamer base and refuse to see people actually be interested in their games. And I understand the people that are mad at the artists. They shouldn't be that mad, because that happens with every single video character in existence. They get an artist interpretation, and I think that is just gaming in general. We have these artist interpretations for a reason, because gamers are creative in themselves and they want to see their version of the characters regardless if it's not the official version. And I think that's what game players on the anti-progressive side like seeing. They like seeing their original characters in their original form. We want to see the original Tomb Raider with the busty chest. We don't want to see the one that's flat-chested, because that is the personal artist form. A gamer that wants to see that version can make that themselves, but when you make that the core version, gamers are going to be mad. So I understand the frustration around personal art, but it's not official, and I think it should be left as unofficial, and that is fine. If things stay the same as the original artist intended, I think that's perfect. And I think this situation is overblown, and I think the audio designer has overblown it with their own sensitivity and hatred, because gaming is, yes, for everybody, but every artist has their own taste, and you shouldn't hate them for it, and you shouldn't hate the gamer for having their own taste. And I think that's the situation we need to be in the gaming industry today. We need to be a little less sensitive and more accepting and more reasonable about the original designs that the game players love. And I think we can see this on all sides within this argument, with the anger of the gamers because it's not the original, and we can see that upsetness with the anger of the old school game players that don't want to see Tomb Raider or Samus from Metroid as an LGBTQ icon with a flat chest. That is just not the character. I think that's the thing that we can all agree with, and I think in this mouthwashing controversy, that's the divide divide that we can mend maybe if we actually talk to each other rather than hate each other. But that's just my thoughts on the situation. You tell me what you think. I'd like to hear your comment about this controversy, and tell me if you think the artist was wrong or right. I'd like to hear your opinion. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.